Hello, thanks for joining us another week on the Quinta das Pedras. It's been raining for more than a month, probably 2.5 months, but definitely every day for the last 30 days. So we're a little bit cabin fever. We want to work on the farm. Everything stopped. You'll start seeing some things around the property. It's kind of a mud pit after all the tractors. I think on this one we want to show you the creek, which is at the bottom of our property. But before that, just a little bit about how we got here. I think might be kind of interesting for this week. Here we've been walking around the property, and you can see from all the metal here is the people that lived here or worked on here really just treated this as kind of an occupational activity, I guess. They just threw metal anywhere they dropped it. So we're kind of in the process of cleaning up and respecting the land and trying to respect the land. And we thought we had done all the metal last year. Remember that we thought we'd picked up all the metal, and then now we've got this. But it's all good. We're going to recycle this. So maybe just a little bit about ourselves for those who don't know us. We've been together, H.R. and I, for 19 years. And during that time, about maybe 9 years ago, our choices, our work, God's blessings led us to an opportunity to kind of do what we wanted to do. And we moved from the U.S. to Europe looking for more of a quieter type life. We both kind of worked for corporate or, obviously just work. And we talked a little bit. This was like around 2017, 2018. We talked about what we really wanted to do in our lives. And we wanted something quieter, away from people, something to do with land and water. We weren't really sure where in Europe, but because we both had passports, that we could move to Europe from the U.S. And H.R. had lived in Europe previously. And we talked about Spain, we talked about Portugal. We didn't actually even talk about Portugal. We thought maybe Spain would be nice. And so because H.R. spoke Portuguese, when we were waiting for a condo that we purchased to be built, I thought it'd be a good idea to live in Portugal. And so we did, and we loved it. Long story short, we changed our whole idea about Spain and decided to live in Portugal, and we looked for some land. Initially, we thought maybe a hectare or two hectares were going to be enough, which would have been. And we kept on looking central Portugal, just for some land. Not even, we wanted to build a house after looking at Grand Design, those shows, and Escape to the Country. I think probably both those shows inspired us. And we found Quinta das Pedras. It's about 6.5 hectares for Americans. That's about, I think, 14 acres, so quite big. It's about 3 hills, and I think in previous videos we kind of showed a little bit about it. Originally there was a bunch of cows, 1 pig and 1 bull, and a pony. Yeah, and they were great. I mean, they were walking around. The land had not really been tended to for over 2 decades. So anyway, we decided, yes, this is perfect property, but it took us over 2 years to get the paperwork correct for us to buy it. And that's where we are today. We just purchased everything. We bought additional land, which we call the Three Sisters. We call that because it was owned by 3 sisters. They're in their 90s, and very nice people. And now we're just cleaning it, which I think we said before, we showed before, cutting brambles, looking at what we bought, not knowing where we're going to build. We had some assumptions, and now we've just enjoyed, we took advantage of those 2 years, and the previous owner was nice enough for us to let us clean the property. And yeah, we love it. It's a lot of good work, a lot of hard work, gives us purpose. We're more attuned to seasons. I think that was probably really kind of a surprise that how I think humanity, or for a lot of us, we've separated ourselves from nature. And so this allowed us to experience that and understand the seasons and know that it's going to rain in the winter and it's going to be super dry in the summer, and what different flowers. Like, for example, uh, we used to have a whole sheet of yellow flowers, and now the white ones are coming. And we know that later on, green or red and purple start blooming. I never knew that, but here it happens. Actually, over here you'll still see a lot of yellow. So anyway, that's just kind of hopefully not too long of a explanation of who we are. But we're going to be walking down here. You'll see snippets, and then we'll talk a little bit about the creek in that area. And let's go. Here you can see it's kind of a mud pit. This used to be all green. We're kind of doing the walls, which you've seen in other episodes. And you can see why the Quinta is called Las Pajas, Valley des Pajas. Everywhere you go, there's rocks. And sometimes it seems kind of a bit overwhelming for us, because if you start looking at, 13 acres or 14 acres, and you see all the projects at once, it's a lot for two people who don't really have a background, who definitely don't have a background. But what we've learned to do is just look at little bits and pieces of our property and say, this is one project, this is another. We've been clearing a lot of the land, but now, because if you see with all these little teeny stones, we need to really focus on picking up these rocks. And you can imagine, if you look at it, it's a bit overwhelming. So I try not to look at it so much. But anyway, let's go down to down the slope, what we call the slope, and then through what we call the valley, and then we'll pick up from there and talk about the creek area. So I said I was going to go to where the creek is. We will, but just a short stop. This storm that we've had, and actually I haven't told you about this, because obviously living when it rains for over a month, 2 months, you're kind of asking yourself, why is this raining every single day? So I did some research, and apparently the Arctic vortex in North America did some wobbles and created low pressure systems in the Atlantic, which then drew all that rain that should have occurred in the Atlantic to hit the Iberian Peninsula, so both Spain and Portugal. Last week, they had to empty the dams, and in 3 days, they emptied all the water that Portugal consumed in 1 year. This is how much rain we've had. And unfortunately, there's some casualties with the wind and the storm. So this was a really cool tree. It really was. I'm really kind of sad to see it broken. We'll definitely put another tree here that kind of dangles over, because it was a really nice walk here. But we'll find some firewood in there and do a burn. But here's another branch that broke. But all in all, we haven't seen that much damage. A few trees here and there. But yeah, actually, it's going to make us think about the windows that we're going to put into our house once it's built. It definitely did make us change and think that we're going to choose stronger windows. And this is what we call the second tier. The house is going to be up here, which I think we may have mentioned that in a previous episode video. Now we're going to go down. This is going to be a natural staircase. So we're going to build this out so it'll have some lights and just a really more natural looking and proper staircase. And this goes down to what we call the slope. And here, hopefully during the summer, we're going to clear this area up. You can see all the brambles and fig trees. So we'll hopefully clear this out. In the future, this may be agricultural. It is zoned agricultural. We'll probably try to smooth out a little bit of the slope, but this should be hopefully pretty beautiful by next year, at least more open. This area, actually this line right here, this is all ecological, which means it's obviously not agricultural. It's what do you think? It's you don't build or you leave it as is. You can cut trees and keep things, but you just can't build on it. I think we'll check. You can tame it, but you can't build. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear it, but this is a great area for animals. We want to keep it natural. So yeah, we have rabbits, we have wild boar, we have pheasants. I think are called guineas, maybe, and obviously tons of birds. And I think that what we'll plan on doing here is making little teeny trails so that you can walk into the woods and then walk through. But for the most part, leave it as is. And then right here is the valley. Actually, you know what a good idea is to maybe show on that map that I drew. What we're talking about, or maybe an aerial. But this is called the valley. We were thinking about putting a pond here in the middle here. But these again are ideas, projects, dreams. Our property goes all the way up to that oak tree, the one way up there. So I don't know, I think I heard somebody say that people planted oak trees to show the boundaries of their property. I like the idea because we have along this property here all these oaks. And then our property is just beyond that apricot tree. It's a big apricot tree. In one of these videos, Ater and I will free that of all dead vines, and hopefully that'll resuscitate. We're now at the bottom of the valley, and I was just mentioning these oaks. This oak was covered in vines. I'm talking halfway through, it was all green. And about a year and a half ago, it was one of the first. Yeah, it was one of the first things that we did. And here, I don't know if you can see maybe it could be here. This valley is covered. Yeah, I think it's called apple mint, but you can definitely eat it, and it smells amazing when you walk through here with your boots. You have this whiff of. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we cut these for mint or for smoothies, for tea. Actually, I made some tea with it. But it's great because when you walk along the valley, you have these whiffs of mint, like incredible strong sense of mint. Oh, here you can see the wild boars, the hooves. You don't notice it here because we've torn up the ground, but throughout the whole property, they start digging up soil, looking for roots, I think, looking for, well, we have this idea because they found truffles in this area that we're hoping that we may have truffles, Portuguese truffles, but that also is probably a dream. But we will see. They sure, whatever they're eating, they love it on this property. Oh my gosh. So this is our creek area. It doesn't look so nice, but it was very beautiful at one point, and very overgrown. We couldn't even actually walk where where the ecological area starts. This was all brambles. It didn't even have a pathway. It was thorns and pickers. So we had that cleared last year. And it was nice and green, but tons of bamboo, and the creek area was overgrown. You didn't even know that it was really a creek. And we're a bit shocked right now because, like I told you, there's an area that's just here that's blocking the water. And so you're going to see a beautiful waterfall that shouldn't be there, and it's flooding our whole property here. So our hope is we're going to purchase this little teeny lot. It's a real small piece so that we can just clean it up and have water management. So all this water, you can see the, the waterfall should be emptying out into the creek way before this property. I mean, this is crazy. It's a great water feature, but yeah, this is a bit shocking. So they cleaned up they cleaned up the crew, the bamboo, and actually what they did, and we'll see if this is going to work. They dug 4 meters into the ground and buried it. We're hopeful that it won't grow back, but they assured us it won't. But if it does, they'll take care of it. But you can see with all the water, the holes collapsed. Here's one of the bamboo. You can see it here. That will grow into 3 meters, 4 meters high. So this is going to be a lot of work. But in a happier note, look how beautiful the creek is. So we're still digesting about how much water is coming down here, but this will get corrected. It'll eventually dry out, and I mean, it's still beautiful. The creek. It's kind of amazing how much water is going down. So eventually we'll start putting stones on the base of that and up the walls to kind of protect it, and also make it look prettier. And hopefully this summer, it's really kind of bizarre to even think about it because it's so wet. Is that what I'm planning on doing is going up to the tree line with the bush cutter, going up and down to cut down the brambles and the bush and just keep some of these trees and just tend to it to be a little more of a meadow. These are river elms, which I think are, I don't want to say rare, but you don't really see them that much in Portugal. So we wanted to keep them. Some are dead because of the vines, but this again was all brambles as well. You didn't even know that there was trees here originally. And we'd like to plant some birch trees along this way as well. But this is another little magical area we call the creek. You want to go down to the end? So we'll just keep walking here. Geez, I'm just looking at the water here. It's great. So I think we were talking about being overwhelmed. So anyway, the creek. It's just funny to think that we didn't even know that this creek was here. We walked around it. I think it must have been during summertime. We saw the bamboo, so we knew that there was some moisture, but we had no idea that what we had was this, and it's just beautiful. And so anyway, this is our border. This is the furthest from our property. And if you go up here, our property is just after this bush over here, next to the pine tree. And then it just goes back up to where we want to build the house. And look at this, what we discovered. Standing by its lonesome, what we call a laurel tree, or for bay leaves. And we take these leaves and we cook with them. Black beans and soups. So this was also a nice surprise. Again, wrapped up in brambles, we had to pull things, and then all of a sudden we discovered this beauty. And now I'm just going to be walking down to what we call the big fig. More just going over this so you just kind of are aware of the parts of our property, because you'll hear us talking about this in other videos. Again, these are pits that were dug. I saw these pits dug. These were like 4 meters deep, and the bamboo that was here was buried. Fingers crossed that it doesn't grow back. And here, it's just hard to imagine all of this. This whole entire area was brambles and bushes, but over our heads. And I mean, it's amazing. We didn't even know we had this property here. So this is our corner. This is the far corner. And I don't know if you can see, it's pretty far. Way over here is the big fig. And I think you've seen pictures of that, so we won't show it to you. So that's it. If you have any questions, comments about what we should do on some of these things, what we should not do, voice sympathy, or just kidding. I mean, we really are blessed to have this land. But thank you for joining us for this project, this adventure. And you see our trials and tribulations. Thanks for joining us this week. Please remember to like, subscribe, follow, and comment. Thank you.